and welcome to Winterberg in Germany's Hochsauerland. We're about an hour's drive from the Rhine-Ruhr Valley area, the industrial heart of the country, on one of the older tracks in the business. And this is a track that will produce spectacular racing given the chance. European Championships and round 4 of the BMW IBSF for 4-man bobsleigh rounds out our weekend, which has been snow affected. I'm Martin Haven, John Morgan alongside me, and John, given a free rein, this track produces very tight racing.
Tight racing because it's a short 1,330-meter track, which it's big emphasis on the start. And Mel Bartels, we won't see him. He's up there in St. Moritz in the other event, practicing for next week. But look at this little chink here, curve 0. They put this in when they redid the whole track about 8 years ago. And this is corner 1. It's the normal procedure, but that start and how you get in the sled and come around these curves very quietly in the big 4-man sleds. Exit going into uphill here in 3. And this uphill section of the track, you could fall asleep on it, but you can't. You got to be very meticulous. 5. Now you set yourself up for 6. Now into the Kreisel curve, you have to be perfect. Launch in, hope to accelerate out about 3 kilometers, 2.5 miles an hour faster. Curve 8, now curve 9, the meticulous or most challenging part of the track. If anybody's going to dump it, they're going to have problems here. This is 10, now it's 11, big sweeping right, 3-quarter combination. The 4-man sleds have a hard time fitting down through these 3 small curves. You'll see a lot of airborne back ends on the sleds. Finish uphill, short, easy track to get down. Boys, it promotes some 100th of a second type competitions, Martin. We've seen it before and we'll see it again.
Well, what we've also seen this weekend is lots of snow flurries. Looks pretty nice outside now. Air temperature, same as the ice temperature, hovering around -3. Cloudy and overcast. There's little glimmers of sunlight in the distance, but the women's skeleton race was smitten by an awful lot of snow, and there was even more after that before we got ready for the start of the 4-man. There's Nico Walther, who was the record setter here back in the World Championships in 2015. Oskars Kibermanis set the start record the previous season. Rico Peter there has had a good run in the 2-man recently, won the 4-man last time out, his first race. Kaillie Humphries raced in the women's bobsleigh, and she will be on the 4-man start list as well. Alana Mars-Taylor won't do a 4-man start here, whether she'd been planning to or not. She's back home at her grandfather's memorial. So Kaillie Humphries joins our field of 28 sleds. Now that's a big old field, and that means that 8 of those sleds won't get a second heat, given a free rein with the weather. Fastest 20 will go through. Nico Walther first off ahead of Cody Bascue, so we'll get a good front-running indication of what track conditions are like right from the start. Our World Cup points leader, Rico Peter, after 3 rounds of the championship, we've had 3 different winners. Johannes Lochner took his first win last time out. First of 28 sleds. Track is clear, freshly swept, it won't surprise you to learn, for Nico Walther of Germany, with Kevin Kuska behind him, joined by Kevin Corona and Eric Franke.
Nico Walther's been in a little bit of a slump. His performance yesterday in the 2-man, I've never seen a top German pilot so far back in the pack. Well, the Germans are trying out theirs to matching their equipment and racing against each other. And he happens to be the victim of circumstance, because there's no way this guy should be back in 13th or 14th place in the 2-man competition.
Checked with Rennie Spies after the race. He said Nico had exactly the same equipment as the other 2 German drivers, runner, prep, runners, sled, everything. So he said he's just having a horrible time between his ears.
He's also 20 slower, 1500 slower to start. So
he needs a good race in the 4-man to turn his season around.
Second in the World Championships here, 2015. He only lost to Max Arndt by 200ths of a second. So this is a very capable pilot. Ooh, do you see the back end of the sled there? There are going to be a lot of square pegs in a round hole with these big 4-mans in the bottom part of the track. These things just don't fit down there.
Bronze medal last season as well on this track. That was Francesco Friedrich, the winner. Max Arndt second, and Walther was third then. That was a German sweep of the podium. And you would think we should get one in conditions like this today, but conditions like this may not remain.
The start, the 4-man bobsled start, wow. Look at these pictures. Look at the cohesiveness. Now the get in, get down. Watch the number 2 guy. They speed this up. You see the number 2 guy, he comes in first and he waits for the 3 and 4 guy to get their legs in, and then he sits down last. Look at this, see that? A little poetry in motion. Look at the arms come up.
Look at the tattoos on the arms of the guy at 2. We don't even need the helmet off to know that that's Kevin Kuska.
Who's one of the largest men in the field.
That's a lot of body to ink, and he's had a lot of it inked. USA's Cody Bascue, second starter in our huge 4-man field here in Winterberg for the European Championships. Frank Del Duca, Adrian Adams, Chris Kinney on the brakes on the back of the sled.
New York, Maine, North Carolina, and Georgia. Cody had a pretty good finish on his home track in Lake Placid, just missed off, get off the podium. 5:22 is not bad. Out of that first curve, a little bit of a skid. Second best speed, of course, max to the Germans, 48.2. Keep your eye on that speed.
Cody in the night train too. Stephen Holcomb's old Bodine sled.
The sled that won the bronze medal in Sochi. Oh, took up way too much of that curve, and then he had to steer hard at 5. Quarter of a second back already, and another skid on the entrance to Kreisel. Still only got about 18 trips in this sled. This is 19th. 4/10 back. See what he can do down here at the bottom.
Top speed from Nico Walther, 85.1 miles an hour into the finish corner. 84.2, not too bad at all from Cody Bascue, who'll be around a half second back. 55.10, and that should see him safely into the top 15, you would think, after the first heat.
Yeah, second best numbers all the way down the track, and he had quite a bit of skidding going on. Tough to get these 4-mans into skids, but when they do get into a skid, they have a mind of their own. One of the youngest drivers in the field. He's probably got as much experience as the average. Up top, look at the skid here, out of the chink curve, out of 0. Look at the back end. Doesn't sound like much, but he went from 600s down to 2400s down in 200 meters. And then here, bottom part of the track, little tap on the 11 to 12 combination. Back end there, not bad. To the finish. Great pictures. Gonna tell a lot of stories here today.
Canada's Nick Poloniato with Daniel Sunderland, Derek Plug, who was on the 2-man sled yesterday, and Keenan McDougall.
Canadians did pretty well earlier today in the skeleton event. First and third. Elizabeth Vaci, the gold medal at the European Championships.
Poloniato not in Altenburg last week. His last outing in Lake Placid, he crashed. So he's got 1 result this season in the 4-man, and that was on home ice in Canada. Whistler, he was 11th.
He crashed in both heats. I'm sure they had a pretty sore Christmas. But they're here, nothing phases him. He's had a pretty good breakout season in the Canadian program. Won one of the selection races up in, I think it was Calgary.
Third spot at the moment out of our 3 sleds, 4200s back. Cody Bascue was 4700s away at the bottom.
Boy, again, these 4-mans, I've been in the back of these 4-mans a long time ago. Those labyrinths down below. This track had more of a luge profile when they first built it. And the bobsleds came into the picture.
5:22 start, same as Cody Bascue, and he ended up 1200s behind him at the bottom. And that big skid, we saw one of a couple of little errors, and that's all you need. This track is so short, there's little room to recover.
I mean, how many races has he had on the track?
Well, I'm wondering now. He certainly hasn't done World Cup here before, not World Championships. I'm wondering how many times he's been here ever.
Look at the rudder tips. Look at how he turned. You know, you can't steer that much. I mean, you want to get around that curve without steering that much. You have to do something. Watch the back end here. Little airborne, and look how much pressure he's got on the take-on. This is the 11, 12, 13 combination. The speed section of the track, we'll have some good speed comparisons down there.
Maciej Luty of Poland with Jakub Zarowski, who was on the back of the sled in the 2-man. Lukas Midzik and Gregor Kosowski.
Wasn't bad in the 2-man yesterday. This is a orange sled. Guess what country the sled comes from? Oh, they got problems here.
It says down the side still, doesn't it? It still say Netherlands on it.
This is Edwin van Kalker's old four-man. So, fits appropriately here in the Dutch Alps. Boy, that skid up top, his guys just didn't get in. And he had to negotiate that first curve with probably way more pressure than he wanted to. Boy, look how high his guys are riding. So Johannes Minins is now coaching this team, the former Latvian who won probably a handful of races in the World Cup Tour in his day for Latvia, including the pre-Olympic test in Whistler in 2009. He'll get these guys to fit better because those three guys riding 2, 3, and 4 up pretty high.
But again, they're all fairly new to the program. Maciej Luty is, what, a third-year pilot in World Cup terms. And so the Polish guys didn't come to North America.
It's their first time we see them. They didn't go to Altenburg either.
Go to Altenburg. I think they did the European Cup race here instead, and they are sliding for their friend Agnieszka Borowska, another Polish bobsled athlete. She had a crash in training in Sigulda in October 2015. She's been paralyzed from the waist down because of those injuries.
Yeah, and they're sliding for her is what they told me. In here, watch the start from the back. Look at the brakeman. He's in first. The other two guys already. Look at the brakeman hopping in. That's not the way to get in. He hopped in out of the drive lines and caused that skid. That's just inexperience. Johannes Minins will clean that up for the end of the year. And
Practice,
down here,
practice.
Down here, late.
A happy bunch of guys. Next up for the Czech Republic, this is Jan Vrba, the first of their 2 sleds in the competition.
Yeah, Jan's got a little bit more four-man experience. 2-man. Not a bad start. Speed, second best to beat, too, so he overhauled Bascue. He's got more experience than Bascue. Remember last year he crashed his sled at Altenburg? Then he used a practice sled to qualify. They drove this sled over to Prague and rebuilt it, brought it back, competed with it. He had a pretty good result.
Yep. Put a lot of legwork in, and you know, small nation like the Poles, the Czech Republic, like Romania, like Slovenia, they really have to work hard to get to this level and compete.
Yeah, out of 5, 6 mistakes there. Really problem here, 9. Watch this. He might get away with it. Oh, really? Yeah, he did. He steered right through that without a problem. But boy, when you see a 4-man bobsled on the exit of curve 9 at Winterberg sideways, takes your breath away, because we've seen a lot of action there over the 4 decades this track's been open.
Yeah, had a couple of crashes in training. Not down at corner 9, actually. We had a Croatians crashed out of the final corner. Rolled off the final turn.
That was the Romanians. The Croatians the day before, they crashed in 11.
Yeah.
Here's 9. Watch the sled come back up. Now it comes back up under the woodwork. You don't want to be up there. You get a little air. Now look at this. I mean, this is not the way you want to be looking at the take-on. And then he taps before he gets to the take-on. But he didn't panic. You know, but of course, in those 4-mans, you can panic all you want sometimes. They don't turn.
Nico Walther leads, first of our sleds down. 6th starter is Benny Meyer of Austria, with Stefan Lauseger, Markus Sammer, and Danut Moldovan. And just to remind you that this is the European Championships as well as a regular World Cup race.
This young kid won the silver medal last year in St. Moritz. His coming out party, his first ever World Cup medal. He's had a pretty good couple weeks here in Europe. A couple top 5s in the 4-man and the 2-man last week at Altenburg. And I think he was top 7 yesterday in the 2-man.
Yep, and another good drive. Very challenging conditions in the 2-man race. We had a 30-minute plus delay for the start of the second heat, which set everybody's scheduling back. And snow is starting to fall again.
And it's that heavy wet. Look at that big round corn snow. And that definitely slows bobsleds down.
It'll have little less effect for longer on the 4-man because of the weight of these things compared to the skeleton race this morning. Lunchtime we had significant rain, significant snowfall.
It's a pretty good run.
Good run, second place.
Best speed in the finish. This is going to be single digits.
Going to be very close. Wow, that's a really good run from Meyer. He is absolutely on fire at the moment.
500s down at the start and only 9 at the bottom against the guy who won the World Championship silver medal here 2 years ago. and he had snow to deal with. And if I'm the next team, which is Lamin Deen, I'm going quickly as possible.
Yep.
Look at how big the snow. Look at the visor here. Number 2 guy. Look at him come up with his arms. Look at the technique. Okay. And then I'll sit down comfortably behind my driver. Look at the 3 guy. Choreography on ice. Those pictures right there prove it.
Benny Meyer got a good run in. Start wasn't quite what they might have expected. Here's Lamin Deen and the 4-man crew with coach Pete Gunn. So Toby Alubi, who was in the 2-man yesterday, and then Joel Fearon and Ben Simons. Yeah.
Switched somebody up from last week.
Semtex back in the program. Joel Fearon, 3rd fastest ever 100 meters in history by a UK athlete last summer.
How do those 4 athletes get that start time? Right now I might be believing there's...
Nobody swept the grooves. There is snow in the start.
Well, Dominic Scher, their coach, was on the Exeter curve 1 to 2, checking things out. And Lamin with the start, he had one of the best starts in the world last year at the World Championships, and this is pretty much the same type of talent. He's going to be relegated to 7th. Watch him on the Exeter 9. No problem. In fact, maybe. See what he does down here in 11, 12, and 13. Ooh, 6/10 back. Speed. 3rd best speed, though. 5th. Moved it up with the bottom. Good run on the
7th
bottom.
fastest start out of 7 sleds. So slower than the poles. That's not acceptable at the start.
Yeah.
And that is not what this team can do. And the fact that he's driven himself from a 7th start up into 5th position shows that it's not necessarily the problem of the driver or the sled.
Yeah, the issue's the start where they shouldn't have been back there at 5:32. And look at these pictures.
They could jog off in 5:32.
Yeah. Down here at the bottom, watch the sled to the left. It's hard, but that speed at 80 miles an hour, look at the picture from the back of it. Boy, 4-man bobsleds, 11, 12, 13 in Winterberg. Square pegs and round holes.
It was a little rocky, and they still made up spots. Next up, Chris Spring, Tim Randall, Josh Kirkpatrick, and Neville Wright Kirkpatrick. Another one of those, what have they got now? 5 CFL players in the Canadian bobsled team.
And Sam McGuffey from the US, he was playing for the CFL in 2014.
Look how
also.
white those grooves are. That's because they're packed with snow. They have not been swept. I guarantee they're sweeping now because Francesco Friedrich is coming next.
32, Springer's only 70%. Knee problems getting off the airplane 2 weeks ago from after Christmas holidays, and they had to take him right to the Dresden hospital where he'd been in the hospital a couple years before that with a serious crash in Altenburg. And look at that skid there on the entrance to Kreisel. But he limped to Winterberg and missed last week's races and was out here performing. He's 60% at best.
8th place run so far from Chris Spring. Pulls it up into 7th ahead of Maciej Luty of Poland. A phrase you do not expect. Oh, hangs it off the final corner. Yeah, Lyndon Rush.
Stefan Bosch. Oh, come on.
That's what he was saying, folks. You didn't lip read that right. Chris Spring hanging it out there for the speed. It's a well-accepted way of getting out the final corner in a 4-man. And even in a 2-man, we've seen races won here by drivers rolling it off the final turn.
Look at the skid there at the back end. More of a skid there too. And here's the finish. Well,
got it down, Springer. And woke him up as well.
There is no way.
Sure heard that.
There you go, and they were sweeping the start and the start grooves before Francesco Friedrich of Germany.
Have we seen the sweepers yet?
Already had it confirmed they were sweeping immediately Chris Spring left. And that means that the jury are not ensuring that there is a fair race. Francesco Friedrich starts 5:20.
Well, in defense, he should be 4 500ths better than Nico Walther. And in last week's competition, he was. So he's 6 800ths off his start pace. And he's already 1900s back. I don't think the jury will take a look at that. This is the guy that, yeah, he finished third last week.
Won this race last year.
And he's going to continue to slide.
Well, he had another scintillating two-man performance yesterday, just decimated the field, won by 71 hundredths. There was no one else in the race from the moment he took off.
The race was over by the time he got to Kreisel.
By the time, in the first heat, never mind the second
heat. Well, third place, just barely ahead of Cody Bascue. 200's better than Cody Bascue and 5 at the bottom.
Well, I spoke to his coach
there's no
afterwards.
snow coming down. Now look, now there's no snow coming down. So, you know, the jury, those guys have a tough job to try and matriculate these races in this unpredictable weather cauldron we have here in Winterberg. This is pretty good here. The little tap there, that's on to 8 to 9. There's snow there, but by the time they got to the bottom of the track, there was no snow down here. A little skid out of 12-13. There's the back end shot of it. Bang, and uphill section of the finish. It's winter sport here in Winterberg.
Yes, it is. Stephen Holcomb of the USA next up with Carlo Valdez, James Reed and Sam Michener. And the thing that's most important is after the 15-meter roof finishes, sweeping that first start area to allow the athletes to get a good push.
Well, knowing Holcomb, knowing what we've just seen, this probably be, oh, the brakeman didn't get in. Dragged his feet, I think.
Yeah, it looked like Sam
520
just slipped.
And the second best speed still. So that was pretty good. So that, and for Holcomb to match the Germans at the start, he hasn't done that since he had the old night train crew in the 2013-14 season. In fact, that's what's held Holcomb back. Just hasn't had the starts to compete.
Fastest start so far is still that of our race leader, Nico Walther, the very first man on the ice.
2000's back. Good lines. A couple taps up top. There's another one going into 9. 2600's back. Maybe spots the back end of the sled here.
He's in third place on the splits, ahead of yesterday's winner, Francesco Friedrich.
4th best speed, though. 3rd best time.
Still in 3rd.
Wow. 3000's back. He moves ahead of Friedrich. Same time as Friedrich.
Friedrich's coach Rennie Spies yesterday talked to him after the two-man race. He said, you can see in Friedrich's eyes, half an hour before the two-man race, he knows he's going to crush them. That was his exact phrase. Yeah. He said, 4-man, it's different.
Watch the start here because Carlos, I think it was, who's on the back? That's not, Carlos is 2. Who's on the back?
I think that's possibly Sam Michener.
Sam Michener. And from the back, we could see him drag his feet there.
Yeah.
The arms, he's not settled. And they're still going in the first curve, and those big meat hooks, those 4 guys, 3 guys ever coming up and around. They weren't settled in there. There's Holcomb.
Nico Walther leads from Benny Meyer and Stephen Holcomb. We've had 10 sleds down, and we still have another 18 to come. Star draw number 11 for Rico Peter of Switzerland, our World Cup points leader. Winner in Lake Placid. And he won his first ever 4-man gold on the American
look
track.
How quickly they're in the sled. But the 10th, 8th best start, 10th best speed. That is confusing. That has to be weather influenced. These guys should have a better start than that. They shouldn't be back at 29.
Yeah, and this is his A-train team. Braw, Van der Zijde, Simon Friedrich, Thomas Amrine.
Cost him so. That's the back end here going into Kreisel. Oh, big hit. He's struggling. Late there. 8. Tap. Exeter 9. Pretty good. He's way off the pace. In fact, it's like an 8th or 9th spot. 4th best speed. It's not bad. 8th, 9th. Wow.
Well, listen, in a field of 28, for Rico Peter to be 8th fastest starter, you'd go, yo, okay. But to be nearly a 10th behind Jan Vrba of the Czech Republic.
Who was off early.
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff going on up there with those drive lines.
Yeah.
But we saw it in the men's skeleton race. You know, the Korean athlete who was 0.1 slower at the start from first to second. Look how confused he does. You can just tell his, you know, getting out of the sled, the way he's walking around, you can tell he's not happy.
The size of Brawl van der Zijde with his back to us. It's like a head above almost anybody else.
Picks up the sled like it's a toy.
Yeah. Alexander Kasjanov of Russia lies second in the World Cup standings. Gold in Whistler, silver last week in Altenburg. Disappointing for him, 8th place in Lake Placid, the second World Cup of the season.
His teammate Stulnev came out of nowhere to finish 4th yesterday in the two-man competition. His best finish ever. He's coming up. So if he gets a 25 start, he's going to challenge down here.
Kasjanov was in the top 6 in the European Championship in the two-man yesterday. There's the 4th place finisher in the race. Nadezhda Sergeva banging on the hoardings in the women's race.
21 start. 8th best speed, though. Yesterday I jinxed him. I said he's one of the best drivers going, and he had the worst heat of his season, having the problem on the exit of curve 9 in the second runner. He would have finished in the top 5.
He's gone from 500s to 1800s back, and that gap will grow as he gets down towards the Kreisel, 2300s back.
All I can say is we're going to have a very interesting second heat at this pace. Some of these guys like this are going to live in a leader's box for 3 or 4 sleds.
We saw quite a lot of that yesterday in the two-man. Benny Meyer came from 13th to end
Look
up
at this,
6th.
4th best speed, pretty good.
Still in 3rd on the splits. Will he be 3rd at the line? He
has
is.
2600s. He's 400s ahead of Holcomb, 1600s ahead of Friedrich. And, you know, he's solidly in 3rd position.
1st to 2nd, just 900s apart. Kasjanov into 3rd, quarter second back.
Okay, let's watch these track and field athletes. They are all sprinters. Watch them step on the sled. This is cohesion. The number 2 waits for the 3 and 4 guys. Now let's get the arms up together in cohesion and get out before you get out of the drive lines. They're out of the drive lines now. They don't want to alter the sled. Now how does he snake around here? Look at, he's a ½ kilometer worse than Walther. The speed right before curve 1. That's relative to how you get in the sled. And Nico Walther's got the best start time. He's not used to the best start time.
Russia's Alexey Stulnev, the second of their 4-man sleds, with Alexey Zaitsev, Alexey Pushkarev and Maxim Belugin. It was a big day in 2-man yesterday for Stulnev.
He can drive. I looked at him and I said, start time. He shook his head. Start time. Medal. 5:13. Whoa. But the 6th best speed. So we'll have to put that into our computers. Wow, this guy never has the best start. That caught my attention. Woke us up a little bit.
Yeah.
He's already 4 back, but still, if he does what his teammate just did, Mr. Kasjanov, he's going to be in a podium position down below. 9. Skid into Kreisel. Speed in the exit, 97.4, pretty good. Kilometers.
Stulnev 4th place yesterday, just out of the European Championship medals.
This is 2nd.
3rd on the splits. He's just slipped a fraction, but again, he's a medal hunter.
Speed. He gets up there, the top 3 speed. He's got a chance, 6th speed. The track might not have any speed left.
Is he in front of Kasjanov? Yes, he is, by 500ths of a second.
So 2 Russians making a move. Best start time, though.
Yep.
This guy has never had the best start time in any World Cup race we've ever covered. Not even close. Let's watch it. Maybe he's... What do you know, how do you tell? I mean, there's perfect entry into the sled. Now look at the runner, where the sleds in the runner grooves comes out, and they're still negotiating their arms up there in traffic, which is probably why the speed, their start time and their speed weren't the same.
Yeah.
The Swiss were in and down so quick.
Ran a long way, but they got into 3rd place. Canada's Justin Kripps will not care to be reminded of yesterday's race. In the second heat, it was clear, except for about a 3-minute window. Kripps got murdered by a flurry of snow blown into the track. Let's see if he can have better fortune in the 4-man race.
4 huge, strong, fast athletes here. And 5:15 start. Spectacular. Third best speed. That's one of the best combinations of time and speed we've seen in the last 6-7 sleds. Consistent. 400's back. That's pretty much what Stulnev did. Ooh, check there. Ooh, big skid there. Back end of that tapping. That means the front end was free on the take-on.
Still in third place on the splits. This is a much better looking run from Justin Kripps, who's put yesterday behind him.
Driving through the track and, ooh, back end gets sucked up. 10th best speed. I don't know. He's dropped a lot here in the last couple.
6th at the line, all the same, an awful lot better than his fortunes in yesterday's race.
400's behind Holcomb, and he was blown away by almost a full mile per hour by Nico Walther and most everybody in front of him. He's got the slowest speed. 14 sleds, he's got the 10th, 11th best speed down there. Up here, this didn't help. Look at the back end. Quite a bit of skidding going into that curve. And here too, into Kreisel. Look at that tap. It's hard to get these guys into it, these big 4-mans into a skid, but when they do, it's costly.
14 of 28 sleds down. We're halfway through our first heat. Next up is last week's first-time race winner in 4-man, Johannes Lochner, with Sebastian Roca, Joshua Bloom and Christian Rasp on the sled. Fastest start, 5:15.
5:10.
Wow.
Wow. This is quite a young talent here. Germans, there's such a competition amongst the Germans. That's probably why they're so good. Every team's pushing each other. This kid yesterday, silver medal, and he hasn't made a mistake yet. See the back end here. Little tap, not too bad. He's got the number 1 all the way down the track. 12 to 12. He keeps up at this pace. He's going to be the leader here.
2 4-man races this season, bronze and gold, and he is still the leader. Gaps come down a fraction, but not enough, surely.
Johannes Lochner, wow. 6th best time into the finish. This is setting up to be very interesting as we enter the second run of this competition that I hope we get to, because the way the weather's been coming in and out of here all week. Johannes.
Well, Lochner was in a class of his own last week in Altenburg. This is as different a track as you can imagine.
No, these are quiet. That's a quiet tap. Didn't skid too much. Look at the difference, though. Lochner took another meter, almost a full meter to get through the Kreisel.
Well, maybe he's using a higher second pressure to bring it out a little flatter in the third one as you come off it.
Can't be critical what he just did.
Yeah. Johannes Lochner leads Nico Walther. Germany 1-2 with 15 sleds down. Third of our Russian competitors, Maxim Andrianov with Peter Masayev, Ilya Malik, and Russian Samitov on the sled. Malik was with him in the 2-man race yesterday.
Efficiency at the start, in and down, 3rd best speed, 5th best start time. That's impressive. Russians got the best start. No, Lochner just, Russians at the 2nd best start.
Yeah, Stulnev 2nd fastest at 5:13. His teammate just 400s behind.
Boy's already a quarter second back with a decent start.
This will still see him in the top 10 at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, this is 5th at the moment.
Yeah.
Big tap hard before 8 to 9 combination. Still at 5th.
Stulnev and Kasjanov, 4th and 5th for Russia at the moment. It looks like he's going to fall right between them.
Yeah, good
and there's
speed
only
and finish.
500s between them. He ends up in 6th.
3 Russians there.
4th, 5th and 6th covered by 600ths of a second, the 3 Russian sleds. I like that consistency among the team. That's impressive. 100 slower than Kasjanov, only 600 slower than Stulnev. No wonder Alexander Zhukhov's got a smile on his face.
Back end of the sled here in the entry to Kreisel. Now this is the 8 to 9 combination. Boy, he tapped pretty hard there on the exit of 8 into 9, which sets you up in the speed part of the track.
Yunjong Won of Korea is next up. Well, let's see what they can produce out of this. This track really favors the Germans, but Won was in the medals last year, took the bronze in the 2-man competition. It's been a long while since anybody really broke up the German, Russian, Latvian domination of this track in 4-man, though.
Latvians are about to come. Kibermanis, good load there. Pretty good start. 11th best load speed though. Now let's see what he can do. I mean, Lake Placid, wasn't he leading the race? End of the first run. He doesn't have a 4-man resume yet.
2009, Steve Holcomb won this race. That was the last medal in Winterberg for anybody who's not German, Russian or Latvian. It's a long time.
Ooh. Tap there, but his damage was done up above this. Big skid, 8 to 9, hit the wall.
At the moment he's ahead of Francesco Friedrich. Now he's just dropped behind Cody Bascue into 11th spot on the split. And that's where he finishes.
6th best start.
11th place for Yunjong Won of Korea. And he's had 1 4-man race this season, was 5th in Lake Placid.
Okay, getting in the sled. Look at the size of these Korean guys. There's a little thickness amongst the 4 of them. And look at their arms come up. Look at the number 2 guy. He was in pretty early. Look at number 3 get settled. The number 4 tries to squeeze himself into that little bathtub. And look at the skid here from 4 to 5.
We talked about the laps, the Latvians rather, having a good record here. And they have. Oskars Kibermanis had a big race yesterday, claiming his World Cup medal. Jannis Janssens, Mattis Miknis was on the back of the 2-man sled that took the bronze. Raivis Zirups is on the back of the sled.
Could be a good start here. Yep, 5'11", excellent. And the best velocity into the sled, which that tells you how good these athletes are.
Well, let's see what he's like in the 4-man.
Boy, to be -1 to -8. -1 maybe to, well, +1 to +4 maybe, but not to 8. So he might have made a little error on the exit of that Omega curve. Boy, he's bleeding time quickly here. 2 consecutive weeks, he's won his bronze medals in the 2-man competitions. His first medals ever. Late here in 9. Gets away with it.
Little skiddy into 11. Currently 3rd place, now slips out of the top 3. He's 4th ahead of all the Russians.
Good run.
That is a good run. 5th at the line, 54.85, right in amongst the Russian sleds.
Well, this is another young gun. What's he, 22?
Yep.
There's 3 or 4 guys in the field. I mean, they took this kid right off the streets of Riga or someplace. Top decathletes in the country, and they took him and put him right in the front seat of a bobsled about 3 years ago.
4th to 9th now covered by 700s.
This is the speed out of curve 1. Look at the difference. Half a kilometer. And that's the entry. Look, he didn't tap there either. That's how they get in with their power steps onto the side of the sled, in quietly, and sit down with cat-like movement. And that has a lot to do with your velocity as you enter that first curve.
Spoke to Justin Olsen at breakfast. He's looking for a really big start. He said, they may beat me at the bottom, but I don't want them beating me at the top. Let's see what Austin Landis, Evan Weinstock, and Luis Morea can produce. 5:13.
Oh, there's still somebody moving around there in the back, though. Velocity wasn't that great. Let's see what the young pilot that won Olympic gold medal with Holcomb in the 2010 games. It's taken him a couple years to come out driving, but this is the sled that won the gold medal in 2010. Big skid here.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's a
he was in
skid.
4th on the split times. That drops him immediately to 8th. He'll be lucky to be in the top 12 as it bleeds time early in the run.
Luis Moran on the back. He's got quite a resume. Ooh, watch out here. I don't like that line. That's through there. 9, a lot more forgiving than it's been, especially earlier in the week. 14th, 17th best speed. This is the learning curve for Justin Olsen, 15th place. I got to say that as I look at the rest of the field here, who can beat him? There's one. Yeah, I think he's going to be in okay. Maybe 2 more guys, 3 more people are going to beat him.
Yeah.
Look at this, though. Watch him dive to the right of our screen. The curve's to the left. Hard to get those 4-mans and skids, but when that happens, got a skid there, too. Look at the back end here. It comes off airborne. That's into the Kreisel, or into the finish curve, excuse me. He looks at the right. Justin?
A little bit more snow starting to come back down again now. We are in what we refer to as the Dutch Alps. We're so close to the Netherlands. The Dutch have always been keen supporters of bobsledding here in Winterberg. And this is Ivo de Bruin with Rudy Mensink, Igor Brink, and Dennis Fenker. And this sled is the Phoenix, the sled that was crashed here a few years ago through the roof by Chris Spring.
Number 2, wait for the number 3 and 4 guys to get in. 5:32, well, it's not too bad. 16th best speed, though.
Spoke to Hannah Marion, the head of the Dutch Federation. She's in town yesterday. We saw Esme Campus as well, who's looking at trying to find a way of coming back into the sport in the run-up to Pyeongchang.
Man, she's a doctor. She can't get time away from the hospital. They need her.
Yeah.
Well, we need her out here, too.
Yeah, try explaining that to a mother in labour. I don't think you get much gratitude. 18th at the start, up to 17th on the splits.
Good exit there in the 9. A lot of people have been tapping there.
And he is ahead of Rico Peter, our World Cup points leader, who has never been lower than 5th.
This isn't bad for the equipment. 17th best speed at the track.
Slipping out to 19th to that little rocky, rolly run. He's only got Matthias Luthi of Poland behind him. Tom Delahunty, first weekend coaching this season. He's back with the Dutch, with whom he enjoyed such good times. Really put Dutch bobsledding on the map. I mean, it was the success that they enjoyed in the run up to the Whistler Games that really put them on the map. But unfortunately, speed skating has been more successful and draws more money.
Look at the number 2 guy, how long there. He's out of the start grooves. Look at there. Now he's steering the sled, Ivo is. The number 2 guy's waiting. The push bars are already in. And he says, well, I guess I'll drop down. Into
number 3 wasn't in for a long time.
You know, pretty good cohesion. The 2 and 4 guys had their arms going exactly the same. That's what you want.
15 sleds down and 20 now to complete our race. Johannes Lochner, Nico Walther 1-2. With 8 sleds remaining, it's going to be tough to break into the field now, but you sense perhaps that Ugis Zalims of Latvia might have what it takes. Certainly in the start zone, the Latvian sleds shouldn't be slow.
I believe this is one of them's going to be in the top 15 easy. Start, 13th best speed, though. I'm surprised. 8th best start. Latvians, it's that small little nation, less than 2 million. There's a lot of them went to London after the new sanction and designation. It's unbelievable they can produce this type of athleticism equipment to be successful in bobsledding. And another sport called skeleton. Dukars, their countrymen won his 9th straight event on this track. 9 years ago, nobody's beat it.
And his 8th European Championship gold medal as well. Well, he's gone from 8th at the start, Ugis Zalims, down to 16th on the split times.
14th, he's in the mix.
Yeah, now he holds it all together in the final corner. He'll be safely in the race, and he is in 15th place. Surely that's got to make the second heat. And that means that we have lost Maciej Luty of Poland, and Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands is 20th and in the drop zone. The travelling Latvian fan club is here again. One of the smaller groups of Latvian fans, you have to say, actually here in Winterberg. But the flags are there, and the noise as well at the start and at the finish for their boys. Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic didn't travel to North America, stayed in Europe racing instead, and he and his crew most impressive in their first World Cup race of the season last time out in Altenburg. Showed good pace, made the race where teammate Jan Vrba didn't. It was the other way around, actually. Vrba just got in and they just got squeezed out, didn't they?
Yeah, his teammates are now in 17th. These guys have the 7th best velocity. That's pretty impressive. 17th best start, 7th best velocity. Cool.
Just missed the cut, 21st place in yesterday's two-man race here. But Dvorak with lots more experience. Certainly looks like he's got the potential to be a strong top 10 contender. 17th place at the start, still holding that position.
Pretty good. The two-man last week in Altenburg got a great start. Ooh, watch out.
Wavy.
Wavy there. Yeah.
Oh, and a big skid off 9 into 11.
Watch out. He's still not smooth. Oh,
hasn't got it back yet, under control. Final corner.
He still might get in the mix, though.
They will make it down in 20th place.
Just knocked out Ivo de Bruin by 600ths, but that was some horrific ride.
They survived that by the skin of their teeth. Off 9, and he knows it. And that might well cost him a place in the second heat. He was ahead of our World Cup points leader, Rico Peter, at that stage, and then got late off 9. You're supposed to miss 10, but he clipped it on the way into 11, and that was
he just got out of here too early. Watch, look at he dove.
Hauls it down.
Goes back up on the outlet, which then he's late, and then now he's...
The wall there is 10. You're not supposed to touch that into 11, the next right.
And this is late. This is not the way you want to look at the next curve. And he still hasn't caught up with the sled yet. And I'm sure the guys in the back of the sled are, looking
waiting
at each
for
other.
the noise to start.
Wait for the driver to say, you guys okay?
There's Dominik Dvorak. They're in the race at the moment, but we still have another 5-6 sleds to go. First of whom is Olly Biddulph of Great Britain, with Tremaine Gilling, Mark Lewis Francis, and Gregory Cackett, I think, making his World Cup debut in this four-man team.
Well, Olly did pretty good last week in Altenburg. We hadn't seen him in a season, and see if these guys can register here.
They had a
there's a start. Now what? Wow! How can Lamin Deen not have the start, and these guys do?
Don't forget they had a mishap last week. Andy Matthews slipped and Tremaine Gilling had to haul him back in the sled. We put it the other way round because that's the way they were written down. Tremaine got onto me immediately after he said, oh, excuse me, I was doing the helping. But a much cleaner start this time. Let's see if Olly can hold it together. 12th place as he gets to the Kreisel. It was a little rocky.
Ooh, a little late there too. Let's see if he can get through 9-10 taps. Let's see if he holds a consistent line here, and he's not. Watch out. This is just like the sled we just saw.
Not quite as out of control. So little time to make an adjustment that works in that
right on the
labyrinth.
bubble, 21st speed, this is
Here
close.
18th, ahead of Rico Peter, the World Cup points leader.
Chris Spring is on the bubble now.
Dvorak is out. De Bruin is out. Luty is out. At the moment, Olly Biddulph is in the race. Wild ride down below corner 8.
5th best start. Love that action.
Yeah.
Down here though, taps into the middle. Watch the nose of the sled. He takes it down, then it comes back up with the centrifugal force. Checked it too early, and then this is where it's dicey. You get out of 9-10 out of a problem, then you got problems that compound all the way down to here as you enter the finish curve. And you can see the back end of that sled was airborne and through and down. And so far, looks like they're going to make the race.
Well, they've got a good chance. We have 5 sleds still to go, and they've got 2 behind them as a bit of a cushion. Next up is Simone Bertazzo of Italy, Constantino Ughi, Federico Comel and Lorenzo Bilotti are the crew of the Pirelli sled. Historically, a better 2-man driver, but nowadays the extra speed that the guys on the back give him means that 4-man is his stronger suit.
Not going to get the great start. 19 back, skid, 17 velocity. Out of that chink, 0 curve. Had a little bit of a skid left to right. But we saw last week in Altenburg, he got crushed at the start. And then in the bottom part of the track, which gives you the opportunity to use your driving talent. He did it. He found a lot of speed in the bottom. But here it's only 1,330 meters. It's about 100 meters less than Altenburg. He just runs out of track because of a deficient start time.
Still in the race, up to 18th place, ahead of Olly Biddulph and Rico Peter and Chris Spring.
This would be disaster. Rico Peter doesn't get in the mix here.
Still in 18th, unless he has a disastrous final corner.
He's got good speed here in the finish.
And Chris Spring is
He's all the way to 16th. Look at that, 19th best start, 15th downtime. The guy's in the twilight of his career, but boy, can he still drive a bobsled.
Well, Rico Peter, the World Cup points leader, whose career reads silver, gold, 5th, is currently 20th and might not make the cut. And if he gets bumped, it'll be by teammate Beat Hefti.
Wow, how about that drama?
It might be by Olympic champion Kaillie Humphries. However, Rico Peter will almost certainly lose the points lead. 20th place, he's not going to be in the top 5 or 6, even if he makes the race.
I'm betting he's not going to make the race.
Dorin Grigore of Romania, not necessarily one of the sleds Rico Peter will be worrying about, but at the moment, you worry about every sled. Anything below 5:30 will be a moral victory for the team. 5:32 is a pretty decent start.
This is basically the Romanians' home track because of their coach, Poloniato. Defected from Romania in the mid-'80s. Set up shop here in Winterberg. He's probably been down the track more than anybody with the passenger rides. Just a great ambassador of the sport. Romanians, great ambassador of the sports. Iranians, I think they won their last medal in '69 in the Classic. Penturo, I think the driver's name was.
2 women's sleds yesterday in the women's bobsleigh race.
People don't realize they also won an Olympic medal in Grenoble in '68. That was Penturo also, so the Romanians were a power in the sport back in the day. 24th. Normal.
So he will not make the cut. He's ahead of Poland's Maciej Luty and just 300s behind Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands. Rico Peter survives another sled in 20th place. But I'd be surprised if one of the next 2 does not bump him out of the race. Track is clear. There is no snow. And there is Dorin Grigore, the driver of the Romanian bobsled.
Speed, and then your power step into the sled. You know, you want to get in, get down. Look at the number 2 guy, he's pulling his visor down, getting his little spot in that limited. Then the brakeman, brakeman's got a little havoc going on there. Those arms should come up together.
Again, lots of practice required. And for this team as well. Johannes Lochner leads Nico Walther. Next up, Olympic champion Kaillie Humphries with Kasia Lee, Melissa Lottholz and Cynthia Appia. Now, these are the 4 that have pushed together 2 or 3 times, but they don't race 4-man every weekend. 5:73 getaway, and on this 1,330-meter track, that's going to make it very tough to break into the top 20 and to make the second heat.
Best start's 10. So there's 6,300s back. But of course, they got to push probably 150-pound heavier sled. There's a skid there, much like Justin Olsen had. Pushing a 160-pound heavier sled.
Kaillie Humphries in the women's race, only 5th position, her first time off the podium this season. She's had a win already, a couple of wins already in the women's bobsleigh.
I think Rico Walther is safe here.
He might be safe from her, but I'm not sure he's necessarily safe from the next sled.
Great drive down the track.
Keeps it neat and tidy. Shiny side down, which is correct in bobsledding, not so good in racing. So 57.03 at the line off a 5.73 start. And Kaillie and the team need a little bit more time together, a bit more practice, get a bit more speed at the start. And for Kaillie, it's such a different challenge driving a 2-man for a 4-man, and she does it so infrequently.
Well, the big thing is she's pushing a 160-pound heavier sled. It's, you know, for athletes. Look at this mistake, 4 to 5, just like Justin Olsen did here in the 11.
She's got the yellow goggles on, cuts down the glare from all the lights off the ice. So 26th position for Kaillie Humphries. And here's the danger. One of the 2 Swiss sleds is going to make the 4-man second heat.
No, you got a chance here if they tie to 100th of a second.
Well, there is that. Yeah.
What's the odds on that?
Now you've said it, it'll happen.
You know, this is a 10, 12th place sled, I bet, right here.
Well, you would have said, what's Rico Peter doing outside the top 6?
18th best start. No, that's
5.24. Rico Peter started 5.29.
Yeah, something happened to Rico Peter at the start.
18th up to 17th.
Yeah, this guy's going to drive himself into a 14 or 15. Nice, that wasn't either.
Oh, little skiddy.
Mistake.
Back to 18th. This could let Rico Peter off the hook. Hefti's in trouble, still 18th.
I'd like to hear the Swiss commentators.
Oh, that's ugly, and that's the end of his hope. Surely he can't make a top 20 with a skid like that, and like that, and like
He's
that.
right at the bubble, 20th.
Oh, they don't tie. They can't tie. They
23rd.
don't tie. That
Wow.
was ugly, ugly, ugly for the team.
You know, this is a brand new team for Beat Hefti.
Yep.
We talked about Bertazzo being in the twilight of his career, but wow.
Rough ride down the track.
That,
Man, that got away from him in a hurry.
you can understand why he doesn't always want to drive 4-man sleds. Wow.
It's sort of a double jeopardy, though. Doesn't really like it, tries to avoid it. As a result,
But
when
he has to.
Yeah. it doesn't go well. He doesn't have the feel that he does in a
He's 9
2-man.
and 10 here. Look at that. Tough to get a 4-man to do that. Look how late he is.
That is the single worst 9, 10, 11, 12 that we've seen from anyone.
Wow.
Yikes.
Not the pictures you expect from a guy who's got a lot of Olympic medals, and World Cup medals, World Championship medals. And
But he's a 2-man driver.
if the Swiss had their choices, though, they'd rather have Rico Peter in the field.
Drazen Silic of Croatia, the last to go. And I think Rico Peter had better start warming himself up for Heat 2. It will be a big effort from the Croatian team if they can bump the World Cup points leader out of the race.
What a great attitude these guys have. I mean, there's 2 Slovenians on the sled, 2 Croatians, and I mentioned it's from the old country, but one of them said, no, we don't want you to mention that at all. So I'm not going to, you get what I'm talking about. But, you know, they're in there just so positive. Happy to be here, European Championships. Crashed in practice, I was talking to her about it. No problem, we made it down the second time, and they made their next 2 trips, no problem.
Well, listen, from the front to the back of the field, everybody got into this for the same reason and stays in it for the same reason.
Like it.
It's not money, it's not glory, it's because they love doing what they do. Oh,
It's late.
but
Watch out
even
here.
so, it was less untidy than Beat Hefti.
Yeah. And he only has about 10, 15 total trips in his life in a four-man.
He went from 25th down to 27th position with that wild exit from corner 9. Safely brings the team across the line. He won't get a second slide.
He's only 3,800ths out of the 20th spot behind Rico Peter, the World Cup leader.
Yep.
So,
only 3/10 slower
hey guys,
down the
you could
track
say,
than
hey,
Rico
listen,
Peter.
we only got beat by 3,800ths by the guy who leads the World Cup.
Yeah, any other race this week, this year, that would have put you in the top 6.
Look at the climbing of 9 and the crossover here. Whoa!
Kripps 10, yikes.
Comes into the middle of the curve of 11.
But we could read all of Rico Peter's sponsors then.
Okay.
Drazen Silic, ducking and weaving.
Listen, that's the way they came in for their headshot. They're so loose. Well, guess who's in the lead?
German 1-2 and a very tight field. Johannes Lochner 1300s in front of Nico Walther, but that's not a lifetime. Benny Meyer 2200s back. And then from 4th place on down, we've got an epic race in prospect. There could well be an awful lot of second heat changes.
Could it be some ties here in the second round? Johannes Lochner won his first ever event last weekend. He could do it again this weekend.
Gaps. 1st, 2nd and 3rd, decently spaced, but from 4th, Alexey Stulnev, it's only 2 tenths down to 10th, Francesco Friedrich, and you better believe that Friedrich's got something in the tank. And Cody Bascue just ahead of another tight race. Look at Juan and Poloniato and Lamin Deen and Ugis Zalims. And then in the .8s, Bertazzo, Olsen, Vrba. This is going to be snakes and ladders. Chris Spring misses the cut, as do Dominic Dvorak, Bert Hefti, Ivo de Bruin, Dorin Grigore, Maciej Luti, Drazen Silic, and Kaillie Humphries. So, hanging on in 20th place, Rico Peter just squeaks in. I can't believe I'm even saying that, and nobody fell out of the sled at the start. I have no idea what was going on. Find out what happens in our second, our deciding heat. Round 4 of the BMW IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup and the European Championships. And that comes up shortly. Sleds will be back on ice at 5:30 local, 16:30 GMT. We'll see you then. Bye for now.